congratulations nga karon pa nga ko ang chapter 3 na mo, no. Ato alang is atong mga corrections is dapat ano to siya, ma-apply dito ninyo tanan, ha, because dili na siya pwede nga inyong tingugon ang tanan corrections kay nyaon ra ninyo ang ending, di niyo ma-recall. Once you pass the paper, once I read it, daghan ko makita ang sayo, balik na pud mo, hago ninyo doble na. Okay? I made some corrections. Actually, Sally just went last week, and then I made some corrections with the paper with regards to your theoretical framework, as well as with the conceptual. But the rest, okay na to siya. So, very few lang yung chapter 2 of corrections. But we do not know until we have the pre-oral defense, no? Let us now proceed to the methodology. Now, the methodology has several parts. We have the research design, research instrument, research respondents, data collection procedure, data analysis, and ethical considerations. Now, we don't have an ethics committee yet, but I would like you to make the ethical consideration because at least you know how to do it. Importante makabalo mo, no? So, dili na ni mag-iwan mo questionnaire. And this where you will really identify who are your respondents. I think you've already identified them sa inyuhan namang daang conceptual framework, pero mas importante ato ano siyang i-tabulate, i-explain itarong kinsa rin sila. Dili pa, because you still need to make the survey questionnaire, di ba? Iagi pa nato pre-oral. Once you pass the pre-oral, and then they will make some comments with your paper, at least yung ang correction sa inyong questionnaire, ma-apply na ninyo. And then, dili pa na agi pa mo test of validity and test of reliability. Once you pass both tests, for the questionnaire only lang na ha, usa pa kung muhatag og go signal na you can have your survey. Once you have the survey already, dali na lang kayo na mahimong chapter 4 and 5. Okay, interpret na lang ninyo, tabulate na nga data. Now, we will start first with the research design. I think we have similar research design because quantitative man ta. No, we're not in quali, di ba? Wala mo interview, wala mo sulat din ang live experiences of your respondents, but mostly you're just going to tally the responses based on an instrument or questionnaire. Now, the question is, let's go back to our previous discussions pag summer until katong first parts of August. Diba there are different types of quantitative research. We have experimental and non-experimental. Announce na natin ano, experimental and non-experimental. Do you think your paper will have an experimental tone in it or non-experimental? Do you think non-experimental in yung paper or experimental?
Non-experimental.
Non-experimental, why? Justify your answer.
One daw, non-experimental, so number.
Do you think this is tested in a laboratory? Ga-determine mag cause and effect relationship dire? Wala, no? You're just simply going to ask if there's a potentiality for an ecotourism destination. So it's a non-experimental. So diba sa non-experimental, there are several types of non-experimental research, no? Naatay correlational, meaning relationship between two variables, katong summer class, if you can remember, itong ang usa ga summer class, ang usa wala ga summer class, nantaon yung asa sa duha ka grupo ang much more productive and effective sa class. That's correlational. That's comparative. Sorry, mix na ko. That's comparative. You're comparing two groups of variables. Sorry, I mixed the examples now. Ang correlational is, dili siya direct cause and effect, but could be one of the reasons, no? Or na relationship or association. Like take for example, number of hours of sleep can cause ba, or indirectly ba no, makakuan ba siya o kanang number of productivity ba, number of activities, maka-increase ba siya or decrease sa productivity, di ba? If you can remember that example, na ang number of hours of sleep can sometimes affect the level of productivity of the student, but it's not a direct cause, Jod. You cannot pinpoint mo na ang rason nga no di siya productive, di ba? Nara siya association, meaning that's correlational. No, na relationship between these two variables, but not really a direct cause and effect relationship. Naapot tayo descriptive. Ang descriptive, walay cause and effect, walay comparing of two groups, diba? So, more on, ano naman siya, no? Describing the phenomenon. So, out of the three that I've mentioned, comparative, comparing two variables, correlational, is determine the relationship or the association between this variable and the other, and descriptive, describing the phenomenon. Where do you think your research falls? Descriptive. So this is where you will provide your research design. You will define here that the researchers utilize a descriptive design to gather primary data. Now, kung mo discuss mo sa inyong research design, which is, di ba, yun na-determine quantitative, descriptive, no? Pwede ninyo siya ma-discuss further using a citation. So, mine, I took one citation or one discussion from Gray in 2014 where he defined descriptive design descriptive design that discusses what happened rather than how or why it occurred. So, pwede nimo makadiscuss dira nga the researchers utilize a descriptive design to gather primary data to answer the questions presented in the statement of the problem. So, muna among gigamit, ma'am, nga design sa amoa nga studies and suited man siya sa amoa nga research kay wala man mi compare, wala man mi determine relationship, ga describe rami sa phenomenon. Okay? What happened, not how it happened, but what happened. Describe rin ninyo what happened. Dili ngano na unsa ni siya, no? Dili naman na siya kuan experimental, di ba? Pwede mo kakuha pod og other definitions about descriptive design nga research. And ano na ninyo, i-pattern sa inyo nga study. Na, furthermore, sa study pa jud ni Gray in 2014, he stated that descriptive design is suited sa study kay tungod ga-discuss naman siya on what happened. Describe naman siya sa phenomenon, which is mao na among ginabuhat sa mong study. Wala man miga compare, ga-describe rami. Okay? So, mo na yung ibutang dire. Have just a explanation nga na descriptive design ang inyong gi-employ na design sa inyong nga study. Okay?
Or a different relationship.
More siya elaborate, manikoan. Kaya para, dili na makapangutan ang panelist nga descriptive man. Okay, kay naawang po dire discuss nila silang methodology. Nga descriptive siya kay ilan namang gi-discuss kung accepted ba siya sa mga stakeholders na mag-establish of ecotourism or sustainable tourism. Wala man sila i-compare nga variables diri. Okay? So, kamo na bahala nila elaborate. Ha? Muna for design. Next, let's proceed with the second one. Part na po sa methodology. Now, ang kaning chapter 3 methodology is more on the methods kung unsaon ninyo pagkuha og data and get solutions to your problems, which is presented in chapter 1. Diba? Nga itong i-summarize, sa chapter 1, tanan nga background o problem nga kinahanglan ta mag-pursue sa study na adira. Diba? Unsay mga goals ninyo, objectives na adira, mga problems that you want to solve at the end of your research na adira sa chapter 1, a brief background of your study na adira tanan. Even the scope, diba? Background itself, no background of the study. Chapter 2, supporting literature nga mo support sa inyong study ngano relevant siya, ngano kinahanglanon siya i-pursue. Ngano needed man nga magsalita about ecotourism, nga unsa siya ka-importante. Ang chapter 3, how do we get these solutions to kaning mga problem nga gi-state sa chapter 1. Diba kaya na naman sa statement of the problem, there are several questions there that you listed that you want to be solved at the end of your study, diba? So, unsaon man na ninyo pagkuha ng mga solusyon na sa methodology tanan. It's there in the methodology. What kind of instrument or research questionnaire will you employ to get data? Kinsa inyong respondents? Unsay statistical method pag-compute once you have the data na? Okay, kaya yun po man i-interpret. And what are the process of gathering data, which is in your data collection procedure? Kanang pagpananghid, hangtod sa pag-survey na naadira sa data collection procedure. Okay? And appeal na insert tag ethical consideration because your study must be ethical, meaning it's not violating any rights. You're not using that data gathered from the respondents for personal use, but rather for academic purposes. and then you treat it with confidentiality. Nanatanan dira, murag mga paagi ba, murag ang methodology is mo ni mga paagi na mo para makuha na mong mga answers sa mong problem. Okay? Sabot ra tatanan. Let's now proceed to respondents, no? Kanang research environment karaan na kay na siya, no? Na naman na sa tong scope, redundant na siya. So we don't use that anymore. We will just go with respondents na. Okay. Now, in your respondents, this is your first ever na table. Table 1 ninyo siya. Now, when you discuss your respondents, naa siya corresponding na explanation sa babaw, naa po siya table sa ubos. So, you will identify your respondents individually, and you will also have a table at the bottom to represent pila ka book inyong mga respondents. Sa first paragraph class, i-individual sa ninyo og identify inyong mga respondents. Pars nako, naman ko'y 402 respondents all in all, pero dili na sila tanan gikan sa touristra. Na-comprise sila lain-lain nga tourism key players such as tour and travel agency, mga local events na planning employees, sa city tourism office, mga members association, mga sponsors of MICE event, ang mga different associations, and tourists. So, inyong i-chop-chop, inyong i-kuan, sa tawag na, i-itemize ninyo ba, inyong individual og explain. Like, the respondents of the research are the key players in tourism in San Carlos City. Using quota sampling, the respondents comprise of 55 association officers, 26 local events employees, 12 local tour and travel operators, 11 tourism officers, no, or employees, and then 104 respondents ni sila nga key players, and then plus 300 correspondents. Overall, 402 na sila tanan. Ano ba? Itag-sa ninyo.
Sa mga mga pila po correspondents mo.
You have to identify first, you have to coordinate with the city tourism office how many, ito yung holiday?
Kayo itong mga barangays.
Itong mga barangays, stakeholders, i-identify pa na ninyo tanan ang mga local businesses dire.
Dito to.
Yes, you have to get the data before mo makadetermine pila tanan. Now, paminaw. Now, there are different kinds of sampling techniques. I don't have a board with me, but there are different kinds of sampling techniques. We have, I'll just open lang kung yung document mo, kaya wala man ta sa Zoom or koan. Explain ako, Taron. I wanted to finish the entire discussion this afternoon, but since di man madala no, kay 1 hour raman, basin sa Thursday atong masumpayan, pero hinahinayin na ninyo ang himo. Okay, so we have non-probability. And then we also have probability sampling. Sampling. Okay, si non-probability and probability sampling are our ways of determining kinsa ato ang mga respondents. Now, we do a sampling method for this, no? What is a sampling method? Dili na pwede mo ingon na ta nga kanira ako ang respondents, 12 ra akong gusto. 13 ra akong gusto, so 13 ra. Dili na siya pwede. Ha? Dapat we need to determine our respondents in the correct way, and we use sampling methods and sampling techniques. So what is sampling? Now, in quantitative studies, since it's so broad, it's not like qualitative na we will just get at least 5 people to interview and that's it. In quanti, we have a huge amount of respondents. Labi na ko, kamo city-based mo eh. You're just like me, di ba? City-based ang study. We have a lot of respondents. If you will get all of them, kapoy kayo, dugay kita mahuman. Let's say, the entire population of San Carlos City will be at least na sa mga 2 or 3 million. You can't just have a survey to all of them. Kuha na kag pila ra ka buok. And then, usually, we imagine that as a pie. Kung mag-sampling ta. Insert ako shape ha. You imagine it as a circle. That's the entire population. This circle. This is the total population, meaning the 2 or 3 million residents of San Carlos City. Now, you would only get a sample of that will represent the entire total population. So, mukuha ra ka og at least a slice of it. Sorry. That will represent the entire population. So, kaning gamay nga slice ani nga pie, I will just color it orange. So, if this is a very big pie, the total population, through sampling method, gamit ang Sloven's formula, or katong other techniques that I've mentioned a while ago, katong probability o non-probability sampling, pwede ra ta kakuha og gamay nga portion out of the 3 million people. Kay para practical siya ba nga, kanang dili man pwede ko ani mo tanan. It's impractical. It would take time, no? Gasto kayo siya. So what you're going to do, you're just going to get a small representative of that entire population called a sample size that mo ay mo represent sa entire population. Now, kaning sample size class, di na pwede nga 15 ra ka book akong i-interview mo out of 3 million. That is also not viable. Dili siya reliable nga data, baka it's too small. The sample population is too small. It's too small to represent the entire group. For example, may nga nabi ko nga, kanang, mo survey di ay ko if kanang kinsa ang presidente ani nila tanan taga San Carlos. Nya 15 ra imong pangutan unya, what if ang kanang 15 puros ilang itubag Ping Lacson, nya Lenny Robredo, wala naman ko ano humayang politics. Nya it does not totally mo conclude ka okay, most of the people here ay para Lenny or para Ping. Pero it doesn't really represent the entire group because ang kadaghanan dili man mao ang president, diba? So, it's not reliable. Just like sa sa sampling technique ba nga if you will get a sample size, it has to be done in a way nga it would really represent the entire group. Nga din siya, sakto din siya. Nga kani sila, sakto ni nga amount nga ma-represent sa kadaghanan. Okay, get my point?
Yes.
Okay, para sa nang mo interview ka dito sa Santa Rita, dili lang pulo ra ka estudyante, dapat mo kag 30, 50 out of 200 students. Para ma-interview mo, i-laptop pa jud nimo, kuha ka sa tourism, kuha ka sa BSIT, para makuha jud nimo ang kuan sa tanan, di ba? Now, lain nga paagi. We could get Sloven's formula, we compute out of the total population pila ra ka percent ang kuwaon, nga mo represent ana nila, or we could also have other solutions. Actually, daghan kay klase nga sampling, no? We could use probability and non-probability. Sa probability, either we compute either Sloven's formula no niya. We determine nga, okay, out of 2 million, we will just get 1,000. Ana abi. Unya, if you use probability sampling, the difference na nila good class, sa probability sampling is, everyone has a chance to be chosen as a participant. Kay, magparoleta ka, maghatag kag number, bunot-bunot. So, tanan na ay tsansa. Si non-probability, wala because it's more on non-random nga pagpili. Meaning, kanirang kung kinsa akong maabtan nga 1,000 kabuktawang mula bay sa plaza, mura po na akong tagag-survey. That's kuan. Wala yung chance ang katong maabot og hapon or gabi Kaya naabot naman kasi mong kotang nga 1,000, di ba? So that's the difference between the two. Probability sampling, just like in Sloven's pod, some of the sampling techniques use statistics pod, use computations. I forgot the other katong standardized na sampling na ay computation jud. Now, I'll give you an example of probability sampling ha. Kaya naman ka sa respondents good pagpili og pila ka buok ba. Naay example sa probability sampling nga naay interval. Take for example, out of 100 students, I will just get 30. Hindi mo na pwede ang first 30 akong paon. That would be biased. Para na ay equal chance tanan ma-chosen, I will assign a number. And I will use a formula to compute how many intervals ang ako ang pilion. Once ang mugawas ng interval is 2 or 3, let's say 3. So, mahatag kong number from 1 to 100. 30 na kong kaon ha. Pag compute na ko sa kaninga formula, okay, 3 ang ninggawa. So, every third number mo akong kwaon. So, 1, 2, 3. Ikaw akong kwaon. Dayon, 4, 5, 6. 6 kwaon tika. Yeah. Sunod na po 9, 12, no? Every third interval mo rin mong kwaon until maabot kag 30 people. So, mo na siya. That's an example of probability sampling. Another example, if you do not have that, pwede ka correlata. Assign kang number, wheel of names ta, or, wheel of names, o say number nga mabunutan, mo on ay kwaon mo. Okay? So, pwede na siya. Or, pwede bunot-bunot, no? Ana ra. Okay? So, that is for probability sampling. For non-probability, it has several techniques. You can go for snowball, convenience, quota sampling, so on and so forth. So, take for example, you'll go with snowball. Ang snowball sampling class, for example I will have to gather a survey sa people with, let's say, with hepatitis. Survey ko, nakoy kailangan na hepatitis. Nimuntan ako niya, pwede ko ka-survey niya. Usarabi ako ng ilhan na hepatitis, di ko kaila sa uban. Pwede ka makapangita og ka ng patient pod nga kailan nimo nga na hepatitis ni pansira ni nga survey. So siya pod moadto pa siya dito, iha pong survey niya. Mingon na pod siya, uy kanang ningon to ang nag-survey sa kuwabang, if na ko kay kailangan na hepatitis kay survey pod siya. Nagpasa-pasa siya ba? Mura siya og kanang pyramid gani nga. Starting from one person and down to the next, and then ubos until mukuan siya. Sa tag mga chart arita og dili pod. Or siya pasa-pasa nga style.
Pass the message. Something ano. Pass the message. Pass the message.
Dili ko kakuan sa uban nga arts. Okay. Like this one, masyag hierarchy og style. Take for example, hatay lang ko example lang as of this one. For example, yung hierarchy og style or snowball, ako na lang i-search lang sa internet para makita ninyo, no? Dili mo effect dire. Snowball sampling. Muna tag 2 hours ito dapat mag-research no kay taas kay siya. Okay, this is an example of snowball sampling. Kani sa photo, you just load Google no kay hinay kay internet. Okay, masyag recruitment style, mag-pyramiding ba? If you could go on. May na siya ang snowball. Because you do to, and it's considered as non-probability because non-random ang good siya. Ngano makaingon man ta nga non-probability siya because it's non-random. Kay the other person nga imong gibilinan, mamili po siya kinsa iyahang i-recruit. So walay chance sa ang tanan nga pilian. So anya kuan pod siya kanang taga ni kung kinsa ray mailhan mapili na nimo daan ma-predetermine na nimo kinsa imong tagaan og survey. Diba? So that's non-probability. It's non-random. Pero si probability, it's randomized because bunot-bunot, interval, di ka kabalo kinsa imong mapili, diba? Okay. Another example of non-probability is quota sampling, which is what I did, no? Ang quota sampling is kung pila ra ang gi-require sa imuha, mura pud ang imuhang ikwaon nga respondents. Let's say, daghang kig turista sa San Carlos City, but I was only required to get 300. So, once makaabot ko sa kong quota nga 300, mas daghan pag gusto mo answer sa survey, kutob ra siya kog 300. Because that's my quota. It's quota sampling. So, yun na maka-remember, no? The other one, ito mo sa gani, convenience. Convenience sampling is, take for example, kuan man ako ang kinahanglanon, no, I need 300 respondents regardless if they are a boy or a girl. So, I will go to the plaza, and then I will wait. Mabot ganin ni siya 30 ka buok. Bahalag di pa ko maabtag gabi, I will go home. That's convenience. Kung kinsa rin nasa mong tubangan, kinsa rin malabyan nimo. And it's unfair because what if katong naabot sa gabi, sa hapon, dili na nimo ma-surveyan. Diba? Another example na pod of non-probability is purposive sampling. Now, mine falls under the 3 categories, no? Quota, dili po siya convenience. Quota, quota ra and purposive. Ga-debate po itong panelist if asa dira ako ang ibutang sa thesis A. Ang purposive is para sa inyo ha. Kung kinsa ray mo fit sa inyong study, mura po inyong kwaon na respondents. Take for example, sa imong study abi is about mga diabetes nga patients, no, if kani nga tambal nga herbal nga tambal effective ba ni sa ilahang nga condition. So of course mo kuan jud kag mga diabetic nga patients, no, because more may mo fit sa imong study. On your part, di ba, is katurang mga tourism key players sa San Carlos City. Ano man, kay mura man mo fit sa inyong study, di ba? Di man ka pwede mangutan ng estudyante. Di man ka mangutan og mga maestra. Kaya they do not fit what is required on the study. They cannot answer the questions in your study because it is related to tourism. And you have to really get stakeholders, people involved in tourism. That is purposive sampling. Okay. So, pwede mo fall under purposive and quota. Kay quota, di man tanang tourist sa inyong paon or stakeholders. But usually, you go with purposive mostly. Diba? So, dali kayo makadetermine mo, no? So, in here, class, diba, una, let's go back to the paragraph and respondents. Una, inyong tagsa-tagsaon ang mga key players. Pila ka buok stakeholders. Pila ka buok, unsa ta siya? Go work sa city tourism. Pila ka buok, unsa pa ito dahil? Mga barangay officials, mga kaan. Yun ang i-tagsa-tagsa, diba? And then, inyong i-explain using purposive sampling, the respondents comprise of 55 stakeholders. 11, yes. And then, kung i-recommend mo sa lain nga kuan, dito mo agtukod. Okay, night times ka to, agto sila ni Gatuslaw, nya si Pawe Island nito sila, so kanang gamay ra ang gihatag na data ni Sir Gibson, mga pila ka book restaurants ito og homestay. The rest ana makikolaborate pa sila sa barangay dito. Okay? So kasabot lang sa to-explain sa respondents. Okay? So kana ra. Ayaw na mo maglabad sa uban nga discussion ako dire kay nag-discuss po ko about organic. Ayan. Nya, ibutang po ninyo diri class in what way ninyo sila na reach out through email ba? So the 300 respondents kay lisod abi kay sila pangitaon, so we just reach out through email or we went personally to the establishment and reach out to them. Ana lang. And then dapat na ay corresponding table. Yung table pod class dili itingog ha. For example, i-distribute po ninyo sila, ha? I-determine each tourism key player. And you determine how many are they. Now, these are divided to frequency and percentage. Frequency is pila sila kabuok. Ang percentage is you convert it to percent. Nanay formula. So, I will just give you the formula on how to convert 55 to pila ka percent. Okay? So, yun naman, multiply, divide.
What if ihatag abi sa barangay, abi ka lang sa barangay, isa ka barangay daw, mahatag sa 20 ka buok lang sa 20 at 20
na dyan na, oh. Basta, unya ra mo kuha og sample size if your respondents exceed 500, 1,000, dako na jud kaayo. Pero if below 50 ra, like 20, you have to get them all.
Okay.
That's why nakuta sampling ko kay kuon na ko sila tanan. Except sa tourist. Tagaan na ko nilag pila ko nila.
Pila ka gatos sila, pila ka kon. Pila ka gatos sila ba? Correspondent.
Kuan ila haday, nag-employ jud mi og standardized jud, nag-compute jud to sila. Pila ka buok out of pila ka thousand. So na-determine na mo ang pag-compute is 200. Kay kuan man to mga locals man jud ila, dili jud to key players jud. So 100 sa Barangay Ermita din 100 sa Pikas ng barangay. Okay. There's a formula to this one. I will just save it to another discussion. Or mahatag lang ko formula ang saon pag-convert into percent para we can proceed with the other parts of methodology. Dali na kaayo siya. Actually, ang simple percentage ng computation. Magamit po na ninyo, no, kanang formula kay mura man siya na inyo, kay dili man mo mag-compare, correlate. So, very easy ra inyo, simple percentage and frequency distribution ra inyo, ha. Okay, for the research instrument, now this is the tricky part. You cannot write this one if you haven't made the entire questionnaire. So you have to really make the questionnaire first before writing this. Kaya ang unod ni class is simply discussing the content. Ang unod, part 1 contains questions that discusses blah blah blah. Part 2 contains questions that explains mauni siya mauni. So hata ko example on how to make the research instrument first before ta mo tackle ani. Ha? Unahon sa nato ang katong exact questionnaire usa ta ani kay di mo kahimo ani nga explanation without the questionnaire itself.
Mga pila po ito questionnaire.
Usara. Pero ang questions ana depende sa inyong variables. Di ba? Mas kita yung mga variables. Hindi ko kaswet to. Wala na ko kakita balik sa yung chapter 1. Okay, I'll just give you an example saan pagbalay or you will know. Okay, kindly get the book nila ni Christensen po no pangitaan dira. You open the page kung asa lang statement of the problem, asa po lang questionnaire. Take note once you're going to make the kanang baga nga naay pangalan sa kilid. Pangita ang statement of the problem dira dai og ilang questionnaire na asa. Okay, let's go back no. Again ha, once you're going to start making your questionnaire, you have to really go back to your statement of the problem. Useless kay magimay mo questionnaire na dili maka-answer sa inyong problems na ka-state sa statement of the problem. The main reason nga nag-exist ang statement of the problem is that it will help you guide sa inyong research process, and that is the main reason nga nag-conduct mo study. You want to answer all of the problems there sa statement of the problem. So dapat yung questionnaire dira siya na-pattern. Butang ilag og kanang sticker para di ka makalimot. Di pangita ang
highlighter madahon.
like sticker dayon para maka-remember ka asa din. Pangitaan lang questionnaire dito sa may appendices. Pinakaluyo na siya appendices. Okay. So, origin yung subject na dili ko mag-study na per kutasan ko
Appendix 7. Gusto ko pagbasa ko elementary kay
appendix.
Appendix, no? Yung usap ka na pag elementary good, may itin ko na. Elementary na kami good.
Okay.
Mahal na pag-school. Hindi ko ako. Ulit dito, doon siya mo ko pag-grade. Dahil na, tagtuto na lang din na. Hindi ako dito, na sabi ko ito, Big 7. Big 7, pero yung lang yung isip ko, ako yung balik ito doon.
Okay. So, I will just explain na lang my questionnaire based on what is written on the statement of the problem. Now, in my statement of the problem, because keep it in mind para maka-remember mo, I have 3 questions there. The first one, identify na ako if naabay potential ang San Carlos City sa 5 A's of tourism. You know the 5 A's already, di ba? Di naman kinala explain na. The second one, katong stakeholders' perceived demands. Unsa ilahang gusto mapatukod sa mais tourism in terms of science, educational, scientific, arts and cultural, sports and entertainment, and ano pa ito? Scientific, business and trade. So sa kanang 4 areas, business, academic, sports, and arts, what are the things that they would like to be established if ever nga mahimo tag mais destination? Kung sa business ba ginahanan ba sila mga like para sa IT part, kung sa education ba bigger universities and museums. So mo na ako i-determine sa second question. The third question is challenges and opportunities. So remember ha, ang usa 5 A's, second perceived demand stakeholders according to 4 areas: business, academic, sports, and arts. Then the last one, challenges and opportunities. So first one, of course, diba, daghan man ko mga tourism key players. So same po sa inyo ha, you're going to have a respondent's profile first, which includes their name and their designation. Asa sila, diba? Kung barangay official ba siya, kung stakeholder ba siya, So, pati mga lain ito yung mga tourism key players. Butan nyo tada tanan. Para ma-identify nila asa sila na belong. Okay? Dayon, the second part, di ba mo ito, respondent's profile, ilahang mga details, no? The second part is the questionnaire proper. Muuna ta sa first question. Sige, itong first question gani, potential according to what? 5A's. Ang 5A's class, din ako na itingob. I-chop-chop po na ko na siya. So, na ako yung set of questions, 5 ka book for attractions. I have set of questions for accessibility, set of questions for accommodation, amenities, and activities. 5 questions each. Now, since I want to know if naibay potential, answerable by yes or no, pwede po siya, kung mag-Likert scale mo, strongly agree, 5, to strongly disagree, 1. Okay, para sa na ilang gibuhat ni Gatoslaw. Now, di ba pa ngayon ako ang potentiality, dapat ang questions po nako kada 5A's, mag-ask po if nabay potential sa San Carlos City as a MICE in terms of attraction, nabatay attraction tanan, nabatay puan, accommodation, ana-ana, di ba? So, 5 nakabuok. So, kung kamo, na may nga questions po, so, ito nyo, 5 po to, di ba? Itong transportation sector, ing ana po yung buhaton. So, dire, una man ako is attraction, 5 questions, 5 na po na questions for accessibility, ing ana, ha? And then, do not forget to write directions and i-divide siya. Para mabalaan mo akani siya, this answers question number 1. So, mabutang ko dira, katong question number 1 sa statement of the problem, ibutang nyo diri. Para label ba akani ha? Kay for question number 1, niya siya nga set of questions, 5A's of tourism. Okay, sabot? Okay, ha? Kabalo naman mga anak, no? So, ito nang proceed na po ta. 5 sets each for each A. Kaning 5A's are called sub-variables. We have 3, di ba? Tulo man ang inyong problems. Nya, kada tulo ka question, kada question na ay mga 5A's, stakeholders, perceived demands, challenge opportunities. Kana silang mga 5, sub-variables na sila. Kada sub-variable dapat na ay question. Tag 5. Yes, Dai. Question, I have 11, I think I have 11 sub-variables, so sobra tag upat ka page akong questionnaire. Magila hapon, di ba daghan kayo sila?
Daghan kayo lahat?
Upat. Daghan pud sila sa variables.
Just na kung mag-dupunti ko on.
You can get samples from, there are 2 types of questionnaire ha. We have standardized, we have self-made questionnaire. If you can get examples from the internet, but if it's from another author, may nga siya standardized class. If you really copy and paste, and you're nang rephrase, 90% of your questionnaire will be coming from that author na, standardized na siya. So you have to give credit to the author. But if nagkuha mo idea pero naghimo mo as your own, onya, inyo usap-usap pero most of that is from your own jud nga questions gihimo ninyo, then that is self-made. I advise for self-made because di na mo kinahanglan mga permission. At the second, another po, is, dali ninyo ma-customize based on say needed sa San Carlos City. Kay kamo got draft, pero pwede mo mulantaw sa uban, yun sa nila paghimo. You can look at mine or Laka Kirsten Sign, yun sa nila paghimo for sample. Pero if 90% ang nagikan ani nga author, gikuha niyo 90% of the questionnaires from this person, that is standardized. And you have to really credit that person. Ha? Okay. The third part, diba, first part, researcher's profile. Second part, katong 5A's. Diba, ang second is stakeholders' perceived demands, no? Per third part na siya, dire kaya nakubi tayo respondent's profile sa babaw. Part 1 man to. Buta na po tag label. Ha? Kani. No? And then, directions. And then, kani siya, more, di na ka siya questions but items like, what's may perceived demand of stakeholders? Do they want to have a convention center in San Carlos City in terms of business? Do they want to have museums and galleries in terms of business? In terms of educational, and so on and so forth. So, 5 items to Japan for each sub-variable because I have 4 areas covered, no? Business, education, sports, and arts. So, 5 questions for each 4 areas. Okay? Or 5 items for each 4 areas. Now, this one is easier because gitingob rin ako ang 17 ka indicators Yeah, pili ra sila if it's an opportunity or a challenge. So in your part, diba, you also have opportunities and challenges, diba? So you can just write indicators there and mo determine ra sila. Pwede ra para dili siya kapoy on your part, pwede ra siya itingob. So tingob tanan questions, pili ra sila if opportunity or challenge. Katulad yung mga sub-variables ang i-individual jud siya og questions, ha? Pero ang opportunities and challenges, pwede ra ingan. Tingob siya tanan, pili ra if it's an opportunity or if it's a challenge. Okay? And then you are done. Manan na sa questionnaire. Yeah, pag abot diri, yeah, daghan jud kayo. Now, let's go back to the methodology. Once you have already the questionnaire, pwede na mo ka-discuss dito sa babaw. First part of the questionnaire pertains about the respondent's profile, identifying as sila na belong. Second part has questions that ask the potential of San Carlos City in terms of 5 A's. 5 items for attraction, 5 items for accessibility, kanatanan. Explain na ninyo. Same gibot sa conceptual framework ba nga? What is there, the conceptual framework? You just discuss it in the conceptual framework na discussion. What is there in your questionnaire? Inyo na pong i-discuss sa research instrument part of your methodology. Nakasabot? So, kung balik ta sa itong methodology, kung mubalik ta sa ato ang okay, everyone. So, once we go back to this part, you will be able not to explain because you already have the questionnaire. Unya, I will just save it by Thursday. Okay, the second part of your question, the second part of that paragraph is how you will conduct test of validity. Nga wala pa man mo ang nakapatas of validity, so kutubra mo sa explanation o sa questionnaire. Unya rata mo dungag og second paragraph once nakapasar mo sa pre-oral, then mo undergo mag test of validity. Okay? So, we will just stop here kung yung brain cells na. O ano na. Wala pa ta sa data collection, no? Sa Thursday na lang tas for data collection. Since given the nature of the chapter na medyo challenging din siya, you start writing na your methodology by this week, and then I will just give you until, hopefully, ang importante una sa yung questionnaire karon nga week until finals. Ang unsa ang inyong finals na midterm unsa inyong midterm na submission, your questionnaire only. Questionnaire lang usa. When do I need the entire methodology chapter? I will need that pwede ikabalik na nato after Pinta Flores.
Ano pa rin ko ang Pinta Flores gisa sayo? November 11 nang balik dam dili November 7 dam.
November 7 but ginahan mo November 7.
Dili dito. Naman siguro na kanila. Pagbalik ninyo ba?
Pagbalik ka to.
General ako na nabubong person.
Okay, so today is 18, no? So you will just focus your entire energy on making the entire questionnaire. Base it off of your statement of the problem. I want you all to submit it on the day of the midterm exam because that will be your midterm submission, ha? Ayaw ninyo i-delay. Midterm will be on the 26 to 29. Maski dili sa 29 i-submit. This is the last
29 na Saturday na?
Yes. Okay, listen. The last day of the midterm exam will be on the 29th. So hopefully you can submit your questionnaire here. The rest of the documents I want it by November 11. Why am I making this quick? So that once that I have all the documents by 11, I will proof it checking sa ko. Kaya maot, dili na ko i-undergo pre-oral. So that by the end of November, you will have your pre-oral. We can have it mag-checking pa ko, polishing, prepare mo for pre-oral. Somewhere between 24, 25, 26, you will have the pre-oral defense. Okay, we'll have the...
Di ba ana makatod before na pag successful na inanatag December, pwede na may ka-survey, di ba?
Yes, because let us check our timetable, ha? Take for example, today is you will submit a 29 ang questionnaire. 11, dapat mo-complete na ang documents. Katutanan sa methodology. Sa'yo naman, because you already know what design, unsa nga kind of sampling inyong gamiton, di ba? Ang data na lang sa respondents inyong kinanglanon. Dapat katag dun na ay mo kuha sa data na mag-imong questionnaire. Ha? Yan ay uban, maghinahina nag-encode. Paminaw, na uban, na napoy maghinahina nag-encode sa methodology. So, wala na uban ga-encode sa methodology, na uban kabuhag data, na uban imong questionnaire. Okay? Now, again, take note of the dates ha. I hope naka-take note mo. 29, deadline sa questionnaire. 11, tanan na, chapter 3. And then, once, 15, November 15, we will have feedbacking. We will have feedbacking if ever there are corrections. At least by 18, you'll be able to submit with corrections na. Meaning how we will have feedbacking by 15. Ngayon ko nga na yung mga corrections at least by 18 na-submit na. Once ma-finalize na siya, we will have 25 or 26 as our pre-oral. The rest of the days here, practice na for pre-oral defense. Ngayon mong PowerPoint.
Data mag-study. Pre-oral kinsa ang paanda.
After pre-oral, okay. After na, let us assume you're done with the pre-oral sa 26. Magsugod na mo og test of validity diri sa last week of November. Test of validity ha. Once you pass your test of validity, once you pass your test of validity here, by December, diri na dapat mag-survey na mo. Ha, diri 2-week survey.
Ano, birthday na ako, di ba, sir? Birthday mo na ako, na mag-study talaga. Wala yung fiesta na. Wala may karapatan mag-event.
So 2 weeks. Okay, listen. So 2 weeks sir na ang timetable for serving nga naman because you will paminaw mag-OJT pa mo by January. Dili ma-carry to ibot ang paminaw. If dili ma-carry maka-oral defense na by December. Kanitanan ang 4 or 5 January na lang dyan na. Pero at least, himo na lang mo sa 4 and 5 mara na mong survey.
Pwede move summer lang na.
Hindi na, nasa requirement for graduation.
Kung man ta dom, dito ka mag-apply sa para. Wala na nakabot.
Mo-apply po mo weekend. November ko mo agto og Bacolod kasi. Kunya, kanang if nayuban sa inyo makaagtog Bacolod na daan kay what the other BSB students doing right now, no? Wala na sila gahulat na ko. Sila na gusto na ato sa establishment ng hatag umuwa nang apply. Di ba na ato ng document sa GC, I sent the MOA.
Pwede na rin ang best day mo ato kaya ka na mo OJT.
Pero January pa sila pero nakuha sa kalimutan sila slots. So para dito makutan ng slots, if you can come earlier than me, if di na magpulat na ako, you can just go.
Sir, may hotel na.
Yes, basta madawat lang mo.
Tumato na rin. Kamu lang gasolina.
Ikaw mag-drive.
Pwede tapos schedule na ato tanan kasi na ay pero napod mo tanan nga mo submit mo requirements na wala lang mo for tawag. Ay mo mute sa inyong mga phones once makapass ng application. Ay patawag mo. Ay na lang ha. Panagtingog na lang gurot tanan by November na atay adlaw we will just go there. Siguro weekend or something. Or Friday. Kanang moagto ka tanan and then kada hotel na to maghatag dayon tao kuan. MOA, tanan documents. You have to prepare everything is already there ha, sample sa resume, application letter, MOA, endorsement letter are already there. You have to just prepare. Hopefully by the end of midterm, akong plano sa ato ang academic break is prepare na dyan na for documents na. If you can spend just one day, pabakolod.
Napo na interview di ba?
Once na madawat na ipatawag mo ana, more ng time na may go for interview. It's really like a job na dyan.
What if dili mo po sa interview doon?
Pero mostly ginakuha ko mo nila doon.
Okay, din GT pa.
Ikaw na, hindi na. Free.
Ang to man gud ay maunhan ta kay. They will just get OJTs where they have hot ka ng good slots pud ba.
Mga taga